Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mesa City Council study session for June 6, 2022. As you can see, the mayor is unable to attend tonight, and he's excused. And Councilmember Luna is joining us on Zoom. I'm glad you can join us. All the other members of council are present. So the first thing on our agenda is to review the regular council meeting agenda and a special council meeting agenda. We reviewed both of these last Thursday, and all of the items are on consent. Do we have any questions on the regular meeting? Let's start with that first. It doesn't look like anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, anything on the special council meeting?
Vice Mayor, if there's no questions, can I just maybe give a few highlights of the budget, just because it's like, we start so long ago, we go through all the meetings, and it's like, what are we doing? It's like, so if you don't mind,
Please.
And I know I'm going to leave something else, so it doesn't mean it's not important, it's just, I'm just trying to figure out a brief summary. So first of all, we are adding more police officers and firefighters. In addition to net new, is what I guess what I'm trying to say, additional, and also scheduling significant number of academies to keep up with the retirements and attrition. So for both of those, it was significant in adding the academies and putting in the resources there, but also, just the ability to keep up with those that are leaving through retirements, as well as adding to getting ready for a new fire station to open up and adding more police officers. So that was top priority. With that, council made a priority, if you recall, that we're also going to be standing up a domestic violence court. So we've added the staff to that for that purpose, and that they'll be within the courts. And so working with prosecutors, our defense attorneys, all of those in the courts, that will be stood up during this next year. We also have proposed to double the amount of funds that go to street maintenance. We're trying to come up with a process to allow us to allocate more resources. The sales tax is doing well, obviously, and as a result, we're trying to double the amount. We're adding another $10 million into street maintenance. We think that's important. As a priority of council, when we talked about strategic planning, we talked about the climate action plan. The council has adopted that. So we set aside $10 million for the implementation of that. We've presented those projects that we'll be executing during the year. And as we do so, we'll bring those back to council. But we set aside $10 million. Remember, we went through a process of scoring the projects and identifying those projects that would be funded. We're also doing a transit pilot program, as well as we're adding 14 additional bus shelters throughout the system during this year. We're adding a special events office. We talked about it's great, we're back doing a lot of special events, but it's also putting a huge burden on the staff, and we needed to consolidate that effort. And then for our employees, which is most important because the majority of our budget goes for personnel, and recognizing the good work they do, and also recognizing the challenges with inflation, that eligible employees will receive a 4% step pay beginning of July. And then in January, of 2023, there'll be a $2,000 one-time payment. We've done that now for the last couple of years. And we're also exploring that in addition to that $2,000 for sworn personnel, there would be another $500, and that would be based on an incentive for attendance, or I guess it sounds like school, but attendance during a period of time. They would be eligible for another $500 on top of the $2,000. There's more in the budget than that, of course. There are a lot of things in the utilities. We've talked about the pipelines that are coming to bring the reuse water to the Gila community so we can exchange higher priority water, cheaper priority water. We've also talked about the pipeline that will connect our two systems with the on-project SRP water with the other parts of the system. So all those are coming also. Anyway, I just thought I'd highlight a few things as council gets prepared to approve the budget today. So thank you.
Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. You know, we get so caught up in all the discussions and all the presentations, we forget to really have some closure here. But the one thing we didn't talk about was our tax levy.
Oh,
You know, and,
talked about that last week.
you know, yeah, and I think that's important for our community. The 14%, it shows here less than the prior year.
Yep, thank you.
And that's due to great financial things that have been happening in our city. Maybe you can expound on
Well,
that.
it's both, and Ryan will correct me, watch his face as I say this, but I think it's both, we've done a fairly good job of being fairly conservative in our estimations about what we would collect. We also recognize projects were being delayed a little bit in our scheduling, but also our values have done very well, right? And we only need to collect for what we need. And we recognize that we're getting to a point where we were actually collecting and had accumulated a reserve, which is important, that's part of meeting our need. But we recognize there was a period of time for the next couple of years that we could reduce the tax rate and still meet our obligations, our debt service payments. And so that's why we're recommending that reduction, as you mentioned. So thank you for bringing that up.
Sure, you bet. Thank you, Vice Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other comments on our budget? Or home rule or the secondary property tax? It's been a good year, and I think we're doing some great things, and I'm glad to,
Yeah.
you know.
And also, because I know Mr. Thompson's thinking about this and he's asked these questions, we also are establishing our reserves at a point where we think that, and also estimating a slight recession, a return down a little bit in the economy we expect. Brian, when do we schedule that for next year? So we've scheduled a recession for next year, so hopefully that's when it happens, we'll see. But we built that into our forecast, right? And we're building up our reserves, and we've assumed a certain dip in some of our revenues during some period of time. As long as it's within that forecast period, which we expect it will be, then we hope that we've accommodated or at least estimated that impact in our forecast going out, so.
Very true. So we're prepared for the recession
We've
as much as we
scheduled it, even.
can. We scheduled it in our budget and know that we're prepared for that. And I think over the past years, especially going through COVID, we've looked at how we can make our community and our businesses and our nonprofits more resilient in order to provide and to be in business and to go forward. And I hope if we have a recession coming up, which it appears to be, that we are a more resilient community and will weather it well. And we're prepared as much as we can. We've put a lot of good programs into place and certainly a partner for everybody who's going to experience any downturn that may come.
Thank you.
Unless there's any other comments, the next thing on our agenda is current events and conferences attended. Julie?
Just real quick, this was in Councilmember Thompson's district, but he was unable to go. And we did the KP Aviation ribbon cutting out by Gateway. It's an international woman-owned business, and it was founded in 2001, right? Was that the right? A long time, and they've made their new home, Mesa, in District 6, and it was really neat to see that. They provide high-quality materials and services to the aviation marketplace, a whole bunch of stuff that I don't understand. It was really neat, though. So that's all I did.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, no, that's significant.
It was
significant.
really cool. And
Significant for Mesa.
Mr. Brady spoke at it as well. So.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else would like to contribute? Okay, all right. All right, so Mr. Brady, schedule of future meetings.
News gets even better. We have canceled the study session for this Thursday, June 9th. So our next study session will be Thursday, June 16th. And just by the way, staff will be very busy on June 9th, despite the fact we don't have a study session. We're going to be doing what do you want to call it, a mock disaster? Is that the right word?
A functional exercise.
We're having a functional exercise of a major natural disaster in Mesa, so we're going to be working and practicing that. So it's scheduled again, just like the recession, for Thursday.
Okay. Good to know.
Do you have FEMA coming as well?
To the county.
Pardon?
The county will be there.
Okay.
Good to know. Unless there's anything else, I'll take a motion for adjournment for the study session. Councilmember Thompson made a motion to adjourn, and Councilmember Spilsbury seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are.
Aye.
Thank you, Councilmember Lynn.